Hello, welcome to Podcast versus Player Spoilercast. We're talking about Loki Season 2, Episode 1. Are we not, Dan?
We are.
We are indeed. Been a long time coming, this has.
Well, basically since the last season finished, yes, you're right.
To be honest, this is probably the first show in a long time where I didn't need to watch the recap. Everything was still quite fresh, even though it has been quite a good time.
I didn't watch it, but I don't remember most of it, if I'm honest. I remember like all the major points from the first season, but yeah, I could probably have done with rewatching the first season before starting this one, just to be safe. But when I was watching it, I wasn't like super confused. Like I recognised everyone in it. I remember what they were all talking about, so it all seemed pretty good.
Some little Easter eggs, Dan.
About what?
Well, there's a couple. And I've made notes. One which isn't really an Easter egg. It could just be a little cheeky nod to a thing, but not actually specifying a thing, or a coincidence, or nothing at all. So we're not going to go to that one just yet. But did you see the connection with Moon Knight?
No, not off the top of my head, anyway.
So this one, I didn't spot it. I got this note from someone else, but. In Moon Knight, there's a recording, and it says solving puzzles is a great way to keep your mind, and then it cuts up, and then the same moment is heard in a podcast that the TVA worker when Loki's like shouting at him,
headphones off him, or
yeah.
whatever.
He's listening to the podcast of the same thing called Staying Away.
Fuck me, how would anybody notice that? Unless you just happened to be watching Moon Knight the day before you started watching this.
Well, even that, I don't... Even if I watched it back to back, I probably still wouldn't pick up on that.
Yeah, right.
Because it's not even like the same line. It's not like you go, oh, that song was in this thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the same line, but yeah. So that's connected Moon Knight to Loki. Which we already know.
Odd one, but sure.
But it's already in the MCU, so...
No, I know that, but I mean, there's nothing else that's really happened with that since that season.
Not really, no. I suppose the only other thing that connects Moon Knight would be the werewolf one, which didn't directly connect it, but that's where Moon Knight made his origin.
Yeah.
We saw Kang in his full comic glory on a panel.
That's hardly an Easter egg when it's a part of the episode. Like,
No.
It's like, look at this. This is the guy behind it all.
No, but I mean, like in the all purple suit and everything. Obviously, we got a variation of that in Quantumania. We saw like a similar Disney-fied version of it, but in this, it's like the full comic accurate.
Right.
That kind of thing. And then this one, which is my kind of might be something, probably isn't anything.
Oh no, I know the one you mean. I saw something on Twitter about it, and I was just like, "You're stretching," but I get why you've gone. Oh, look, X-Men.
Yeah. Now,
so there's a door in the TVA, like a vault door. When they go through it, there's like a circular thing in the middle, and there's like a big X that stretches out of it, but it's not a full X. It's like for a bit, and then it cuts off. And
yeah,
I think if anything. I think it's a nice little look at that. That looks like that thing, but I don't think it means anything at all.
I don't think it's the X-Men door.
No, it's not like it's that's Cerebro's entrance that they've just repurposed or whatever.
But no, but this is what got me thinking though, Dan. So I think they've done it purely especially as it doesn't look like an X until you're like really close to it. But I don't think Kang's capable of wiping all these people's minds. Right? But there is a person who could.
Well, there's numerous people that could.
No, but if this was like kind of like Kang's built his own like Cerebro type room.
Right.
Then he's going to need someone to use it.
Well, no, because if this is a Kang that's got complete control over time, then being able to wipe a bunch of people's memories doesn't seem a ridiculous thing for him to be able to do at the same time.
How'd he wipe the memories, though? Would he just swap them into different... So, swap them out?
Well, the same way that any sort of person with that kind of, you just affect their memory. Just delete the memory. Scarlet Witch can do it. Like, there's people that we've already seen that have got that kind of ability to fuck with people's brains.
But not Kang, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, but what he could do is he could just go, I'm going to take this Bob from that universe and plop him into this universe so he doesn't know what anything is.
But you'd still need to because they'd still have memories from the universe he's just taken from. Yeah. So you just insert like a reset button, and you just bloop bloop.
Well, like the Good Place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or there's what's that that Ben Affleck film, Paycheck? Like when he accepts a contract and he gets like ejected with the thing, and then when the job's done, they inject it again, and it resets all of his memories back to when the original one was injected. Yeah. The thing like that, you just have like a hard reset button and it just deletes everything up until all the way up back to when you first put them into that TVA position, Well, but it's the fact that there's like the infinite Kang problem as well. They're just like, okay, well, this he works in the quantum level and he's got his own little empire down there. This one, he's got something to do with time, or he's just survived all of time, or he's just the last one that survived through time. This one's a pharaoh. This one could be a maths teacher. This one's an engineer. Like, you could have them all. Like, you could imagine if you did the same thing with Tony Stark's. If you just had an infinite number of Tony Starks. Like, yeah, sure, this one's a suit builder, but this one, he could just be a great chef. Like, he could be the best chef.
Tony Stark, head chef.
Yeah, but he would be like your absolute 5-star Michelin. Like, he'd be the absolute best chef in the world.
Do you think they are gonna because obviously at the minute we haven't had anything at Kang. I know we've only had one episode, but how do you think they're gonna handle the whole debacle? The real world debacle, that is, not.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, I meant to actually have a look into this before I started watching it the other day. But has he officially had his ties cut with Disney?
No.
Right.
It's still up in the air, as far as I'm aware.
So I suppose, if they've already shot a bunch of stuff and to kind of keep things ticking over reasonably well, whilst they could denounce any actions that he may or may not have taken. Or, because presumably if anything's been proven at this point, they would have given him the bucket there and then. They would have been like, no, we're out. You're not dealing with us anymore. If that's not the case, it's still up in the air, then I'd say that they could write themselves into a potential get out of jail free card. Like, oh, well, don't hit the hard reset button, otherwise the universe resets and everyone will change and whatever. The only person that might survive is Loki, but everyone else would be a new Morbius, there'd be a new whatever. You could always do that, or they just keep him until they have to fire him.
I mean, to be fair, that would be a really easy way out, because we're already seeing like these kind of weird anomalies when they turn around and go, if you like in the first season, and he's like, obviously if you kill me, that's just going to let them all come through, and she does it, and obviously that's what's happening. And then if they do the same with this, they're like, don't do this because it'll affect time. And then he changes what he looks like. No one's going to question it.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a smart way of doing it if they have got to get rid. There is a possibility they'd already finished filming all of this.
That's what I mean. Like, there'd be little point in having to go, right, we've got to reshoot everything just because now we've had to cut ties with this guy.
Yeah.
So if that's not the case, I'd say that for at least this season, it'll still be the same guy if he shows up in it much at all, which is probably unlikely, because again, it's still supposed to be about Loki and just him absolutely having a flap this whole episode. That's all he's just him going, it's just that constantly, because he can't, every time he tries to get to a point where he can explain himself, he gets whipped away, and then he's in the past or the future or whatever, and he can't lock himself down enough to kind of explain or take a breath, which is kind of great, really.
It works.
Although I'm sick of him flipping his hair back. If I have to see him do that one more time, every time he pops forward, he goes, and like flicks his hair back like a L'Oreal model.
I think it's one of those things where, like in Ahsoka, they gave Ezra long hair and a beard because it signifies how long it's been, and I think him doing the flip signifies that he's just come back from somewhere. It hasn't annoyed me as much as it seems to have annoyed you, but it's very much noticeable.
It happens all the time during the movies as well. Like wherever he drops from a thing or he teleports to a thing, he always flicks his hair.
To be fair,
and now because he's flipping
Johansson
around through time, he's doing it all the time now.
Do you think that's why Scarlett Johansson cut her hair in the later Avenger films?
So it's not always in her face whenever she drops. Yeah, probably.
But I think as far as first episodes go, I think it was fucking excellent.
I mean, it's kind of great what's happened so far. Like, also, this is probably again something that I just don't remember from the first season. But does his magic not work within the TVA?
No.
Right. That's what I figured because I was like, pretty sure you could do like a bunch of stuff that would be really handy right now.
Nothing does. That's why the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But then, if that's the case, and obviously they're saying like you can't like time split or whatever it was called here, but that's happening. So there's obviously something in place that prevents magic and powers and stuff happening. But how is I know they kind of explained it when they went.
Well, I'm guessing it's just like they exist outside of time and space, and if anything that relies on the laws of time and space to work, then so like the Infinity Stones don't work because you're technically outside of a universe where they would.
Yeah.
So you can't control reality and time if you're outside of reality and time and space and whatever. So if you don't exist within that something that has those rules, then they just don't work. Same as the magic. Like if the magic if that relies on some kind of universal law, like that's why he can go to any planet within the universe and he can still use his magic. But as soon as he's outside of space and time and whatever, then it doesn't work anymore. Then that means that those pruning things must be the most powerful fucking weapons in the world.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, because they work on Earth and stuff.
Yeah, but that's exactly my point, though, is that they work within the TVA, but then they work outside of it as well, which means that, because that's their point, is that they are removing you from all time and existence.
Yeah.
Like, nothing. What else does that? Like, Thanos' snap didn't even do that.
Well, no.
Because people remember, that people were snapped away or whatever. This, you prune someone, and anyone outside of the TVA they'd never know that they existed ever? Or is it just, like, because they're a variant, aren't they? So is it wiping their entire existence or their entire existence from that point?
I mean, what he should have done, really, Loki, is he should have gone back in time with one of these pruning sticks and then got Thanos then.
Yeah, get him in every possible variation. Yeah. That'd be a full-time job, that would. Try and get every one of those. But, I think the episode was great. Like, there's just some really silly wackiness. Just like, it's a proper kind of like B-movie. Like, that fucking fella, I can't remember his name now. He's had a proper resurgence since everything.
I know you're on about. I can't remember his name at all.
Yeah, he was bloody short round in Indiana Jones. But he's amazing. Like, he's dead funny. Like, he's just got this proper weird delivery of his lines, which is kind of like a guy that's just been a hermit for 400 years or whatever it is. And that gigantic fucking spacesuit they put him in and send him out. Like, especially with the way he walks as well. Is it me, or did you get like proper vibes of the Paragus mining facility from Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah, when you got
where you just that gigantic fucking thing that you can move at the slowest possible pace. It's just it just proper. I was just like, oh, I recognise that fucking thing. How annoying is that?
Although, to be fair, I think with this, it was to give you the scope of, not obviously like the weight and velocity of the elements around him and stuff. Whereas in Knights of the Republic, I think it was just hardware limitation. But no, like he was really funny in it, and there was a particular bit that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall ever seeing it in anything else. But when. Obviously, when he's talked to Mobius in like I suppose, the present, and Loki's in the past, and then he's remembering things that Loki's telling him when he's talking to Mobius.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really cool. And
Just after he's told him, and he's just like, oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute, no, I have got that thing.
Yeah.
It's right here next to me.
I was like, that's such a clever way of, like, because all they're doing is just moving the story along really quick.
But I thought they'd already established with, like, the time travel rules in the MCU that if you can't go back and affect your present, you go back and you affect a new future.
But I think within this, because they're not in anything.
Oh, I see, because it's the different rules of the TVA.
It's at the TVA, isn't it?
Seems like it's a coincidence to me, but I'll let it fly.
It's fine because it's explained and understood. And you just go,
well, yeah,
okay.
But it's easy enough to say that when they go, well, you can't do that, it's impossible. Oh, wait, you just did it. Okay, well, I don't understand how any of the rules work anymore then, if that's the case.
I mean, they also could be saying because Loki's just piss-arsing about ruining everything.
That's kind of his whole deal, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, not so much anymore. Like, he's gone from being the god of mischief to being the lovable anti-hero.
He's just a time agent now.
To just be
Imagine popping up at the end of the Avengers and just being like, right, I know what we've all just gone through, but this is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm working for the time agency. Like, whoa, wait, what?
Like Thor, just like, no, you're not. Take it back to Asgard.
Yeah, they're like, I don't believe you. Come on.
That's something. Do you think we'll get a Mr. Hemsworth cameo at all?
No, I think that again, it's that kind of Skywalker thing, isn't it? It's like as soon as you show up a Thor or a Captain America, or he goes back in time and there's Tony Stark, he just completely takes you out of this story for him. And like the first season didn't need to have anything like that to rely on to kind of keep people interested.
It showed you the memories that we had of the movie.
From the exact point of how we saw the films. Yes,
I hate it so much.
It's so annoying, isn't it? I fucking hate it. But it means that you'd have to get all those actors to reshoot from a different point of view. Like, I get why you do it, but man, it's awful.
I know, but from that though, you just have to look at it as. So you'd look at the shots where you just see like this entire like flying through the air and stuff, and you just pretend that it's Loki's view of it.
Yeah,
that's what he was seeing.
If you're looking at a show that's untested at this point, and you've got limited time, limited budget, and go, well, we can either try and recreate all these shots of the Hulk lying around, or jumping around or whatever, by pretending it's someone else's mobile phone film capture or whatever. So it doesn't have to look like Mark Ruffalo, but it can just be jumping around. Or we just use the shots that we've already got on DVD in the office. Yeah, let's just do that. It'll be quicker. That's one thing out of the way, and who's going to care?
I hate it. It's that we have said it before, but it's the one thing that they did right with Mando with the CCTV. So the footage you see of Luke Skywalker on the screens is different to the footage we see when it's the scene of him.
Yeah,
and that's the most perfect way to do it. And to be fair, all they most likely did was shoot it with one camera, one angle, and then an overhead camera when he's walking down. But they're completely different in our eyes, so it doesn't take you out of the moment.
I agree. That is how you do it. But that's clearly they set that up purposefully to do that.
Maybe because they listen to our podcast when we're talking about Loki season 1.
Let's go with that. Yeah.
But no, in terms of first episode, I think it was a really good start to the first. Fuck me. I think it was a really good start to the new season, and it still felt as I still think that this is the best Marvel Disney Plus show by far. Probably WandaVision's close second, but this still feels as good as the first season, and it feels like a genuine like continuation of it. Yeah,
I know what you mean. For me personally, I still think it's a bit too early to tell, because there hasn't been anything that's happened as of yet. Like, we haven't seen the consequences of the first episode, really. So I want to see, like, there's going to be an episode where, they're in the Old West. It'll be like Doctor Who, like, but a million times better, which I'm pretty sure is what we said about the first season anyway. Sort of like jumping around in space and time and doing whatever. I think it's too early to tell. I'm still getting very much the same vibes that I did from the first one. It's like, oh, what is happening here? Like, this is...
I think it's got a different director.
It's all mystery.
Well.
Sorry?
I think this season's got a different director.
Well, they'll all have different directors.
Well, no, because there was one director for all of season 1, and they dropped
the same director for every episode of the first season.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah. And they dropped
There's
out.
not many shows that do that.
They dropped out of this because of some like working conditions or something. Probably because they had to
Right,
direct a whole season. But, yeah, this one's got a new director. Anyway, no, I know what you mean though. There's a lot to. You got a lot to keep up in terms of time hopping, but keeping it fresh. And this, the stuff we've seen this episode, is quite vastly different to the first one, season-wise. Do you know if that makes sense? Because we've got like the time slipping and stuff, but they've got to do that for another 7 episodes now and keep it fresh.
Yeah, but that means that now we're going to be jumping between the present, the past, and the future.
Yeah.
But it depends on whether they're fixed points within the present, the past, and the future, or is it a future that's 60 years from now, but you could also jump and it would be a future 300 years from now.
Oh no, we won't be, will he? He got pruned.
Oh yeah, no, because technically he's been fixed. Well,
Yeah.
so they say anyway.
Somebody did it. Could it have been a past or a future Loki?
Well, no, he pruned himself.
Did he?
Or was it Sylvie?
No, because we don't know who did it. Because as far as we're aware,
Oh yeah, no, because he didn't have a pruning stick.
he didn't have one.
He just got pruned. I'm assuming it was probably Sylvie, or it might have just been him that was sent to prune himself at this exact time, like a Back to the Future kind of thing.
Yeah, but she's in like fucking McDonald's or something.
Oh yeah, in like the 80s.
Yeah.
I love that. What a fucking on the nose product placement.
Without indirectly, because it didn't specify.
But it's in McDonald's.
It's definitely.
Do you want to try these new McNuggets that we've got?
Did they say McNuggets or did they say chicken nuggets?
No, I thought he said chicken McNuggets.
If I remember rightly, the only thing that
I could have sworn that's what he said. He's just like, "Oh, do you want to try our new chicken McNuggets?"
I'll take your word for it.
Because it was like 1982 or something, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Tell you what, though, as soon as you walked into that and there was that fucking big tree, like, as soon as I saw that, I didn't recognise it, but I was like, oh, I know what that is. Like, just, there was something in me from forever ago that just recognised that big tree. With, like, the big eyes and the big open mouth. Yeah, something stirred in me straight away. I don't know if I placed it as immediate as, like, that's a McDonald's thing. But there's just something so familiar about it. Oh, now I really want some chicken nuggets now. See, this is why I hate advertising and like this global like mass media, because it's very good and it fucking works.
It does.
Like you watch something like that and you go, "Oh, there's bloody chicken! Oh, I could go for some chicken nuggets right now." I'll tell you that now. Whoa.
No, we're not going to do this.
Sorry, we're doing this again. Yeah, we'll talk about that on the podcast. Don't you stay tuned.
This week's episode brought by Just Eat. Actually, what was we on about? McDonald's.
Loki, I think. Season 1 Loki. Wait, no.
I think we're on season 3 now.
Oh, man. Seasoned what? Seasoned fries? Is that what I heard? Medium seasoned fries?
Man, that's too good of a joke not to keep in.
Thanks, right?
Loki seasoned fries.
Well, you wanted a Spoilercast name. There you go. You've got it. Fucking hell.
Right.
Good luck piecing this together. Jesus.
I'll
three piece what? Big look at me. There you go. There's another one for you.
But yeah, first and only time we saw Sylvie this episode as well.
Yeah, just a very... But that to me, that says that either it's going to be an all Sylvie episode next. So, like, getting her up to that point where she's in the lift. Or just picking up directly from her at the McDonald's in the 80s. Because presumably there's going to be some sort of time hop from her going from the 80s to the future to bumping into Loki at the lift, I guess.
Well, I'm guessing she's got the ability to do... She can just jump about wherever she wants to.
Well, but she hasn't got a time device thing, has she?
I'm assuming she's got one from the lair where... Kang
Because it wasn't like, oh, you kill Kang and you get all of his powers or whatever.
No, but I'm guessing he had a load of time paraphernalia.
Oh, well, to be fair, she booted Loki through a time door, didn't she?
Yeah,
so if he left one behind, maybe.
So it makes sense.
I guess, yeah. So, but then why there? But again, I'm assuming that that's what's kind of going to be explained. Like, why has she gone to the 80s, and then how has she gone from the 80s to being in the future when he gets pruned? And she's not wearing the outfit because, like, or you don't see it much because it's just sort of like hands, face, and then that's it. It cuts away from her. And she looks like she's had a bit of a go of it as well because her hair's not like as nice and neat, as tidy as it was.
No, I did think that. I like it. I like her as an actress, though, even though I cannot.
Oh yeah, she was
name.
great in the first season. Yeah, definitely.
I like you say, it's hard to just based off one episode. No idea where it's going to go. And in terms of keeping that top spot, I think it hasn't got a lot to do it really, because you've got.
Well, what they've made so like the big vault thing that they've got where that giant door is, where they where Owen Wilson like goes out in his big giant spacesuit.
Temporal
like
loom.
That whole room was so. I can't imagine that isn't just a real room that's somewhere, because it was just so many like weird odd consoles and buttons and like it was gorgeous. If they made that for this show, there's no way that they're not going to be going back to that room all the time. Because it's this beautiful cacophony of like old Soviet era sort of like data, those like old like tape computers, like everything was like stored on tape or whatever. It had I can't imagine that they're not going to be using that room, that if that's a real set, or if it's a set that they made, not a real place that they just visited and then shot some stuff in and then left.
I imagine for a lot of it they'll be using the volume for most of it, and with a show that's based around jumping through different places in time, I can't see them making a lot of physical sets. But if they did, the TVA would be the one that they would make.
But there's already a few different rooms within the TVA we've already seen, so you can't just.
I don't know if they actually did one. Did they do a behind the scenes for Loki?
I don't remember, if I'm honest. But to be fair, I've never really watched most of those anyway, so
I
wouldn't have watched at the time either.
Because obviously something like WandaVision, because of the way it was filmed, they would have used actual sets because it's made to look like a sitcom.
It's a sitcom, yeah.
But with something like Loki, and in all fairness, you've got access to the volume, may as well use it. It's there and it looks fantastic. Obviously some things you can't use it for, and I think.
But that's what I mean. Like when we see like it goes to like the 1900s or whatever, it's in like the Old West. Like you could do stuff like you could do like skyscapes and stuff like that. But when you've got buildings like that they're going past or walking into, they're too close for that to just be that screen.
Well, it goes all the way around, doesn't it? So it's. Have you seen the Sphere in Las Vegas?
Yeah, that ridiculous fucking massive thing, yeah.
But have you seen the concerts they're doing on the inside?
Yeah.
It's cool, isn't it?
I mean, it makes it feel infinitely bigger than it probably is.
I think it's awesome. I mean, I wouldn't go watch U2 in it, which is the video that I watched, but...
No, probably not.
What's worse, though, is, again, I don't know if you watch the same video, it makes the stage they're on look so fucking small.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's not. I imagine it's a massive stage. But, it's a cool idea. And obviously it's the same kind of technology that they're using for the volume, just on a much grander scale. Fucking hell, you could film like an entire season in one go in the Sphere. But, yeah, I would imagine they're making some physical areas, but I don't know what, though. Because obviously, like, the temporal loom, like, when Owen Wilson goes out, that's obviously not... They haven't built any of that. They probably there'll be like a runway, and then that'll be the volume all around him. Then I would assume, or even just green screen maybe. But yeah, some of the actual sets I imagine are maybe not as complicated as they look.
Maybe there's a lot of them where you see where it's just like they're standing on three things, and then they've got a desk that they can interact with. It looks more and more like a mocap studio when they're making a game, where it's just like, well, we're not like everything is going to be like you are going to be computer generated, so there's no point in having a set for you to actually interact with that the camera needs to see.
Around you.
it's just boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
So you know that there's a wall here. You know there's a desk there. It doesn't need to look like anything. It's just so there's a physical thing that you can move around. But I imagine that for an actor, like I guess that you kind of accept that with a game, that's kind of, well, of course, there's not really going to be anything there. What's the point in designing and building a set that will never be used? No point. But for TV, for movies, like the things that will stand the test of time are the things where there are practical elements, or more practical than CG, because you know and you feel that there's a thing there. You can just tell that it is.
You can tell the difference in stuff, and again, it's something that we bring up quite regular. But if you look at Roger Rabbit, because they took the effort to ensure Eddie's eye line matched up exactly where Roger was going to be, the light dissipated through Roger's ears if it was behind him. It's like all these little touches that at the time they didn't have to do, but because they did, when you watch it now, it still looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if you watch something where they haven't taken that kind of attitude to it, it probably looked dog shit back then, but it looks even worse now. And like you say, if they're going to go to the effort of just making sure, even if there's nothing there, and they go, there's a wall here, we're going to put some boxes up so you know that it's there, so you know where to interact. And I imagine that's what they've done with some of these, like when they're in the room with, again, still can't remember the gentleman's name, but when they go down to see him and he's got all the there's just shit everywhere. That's got to be real.
Yeah, I was going to say that felt like they just spent hours just bodging a whole bunch of different model kits together and that kind of stuff to just what does it need to look like? Doesn't matter. Just a bunch of junk that you can smash and that's just on a shelf somewhere. Because
that's all it's got to be. It's just you have fucking 200 odd people just literally just stacking shelves with random bits and bobs out of the Marvel's garage. but
if you think how unique that kind of room looks.
Yeah.
And then if you just said, well, you could just do the exact same thing, but just imagine it's just another office like any of the other offices, and he's just behind a desk. He doesn't come in on a big seat that just comes down from the ceiling, and he doesn't have this gigantic Hitchhiker's Guide wobbly time lasso or whatever the fuck it was called. Yeah. It looks ridiculous, but that's why it's great, because it's this giant ball thing that just looks like it's made of an old vase and a hooker pipe. It's just it didn't need to be that. It could just be a USB drive. Do you know what I mean? They've gone to the effort of putting and making it everything keeps the same, like you say, sort of 70s aesthetic.
It's unique, and it still fits within the realms of that.
Because you know that if you were doing some fucking quiz 10 years from now, and he goes, this is the hardest Marvel ever quiz or whatever, and there'd be a picture of that, and you go, what's this called? He'd be like, it's the Aura Sphere thingamajig from Loki, isn't it? Because it's not just another sleek white and glass thing that's been made by Stark Tech or whatever.
Well, that's why it works, though. And
I agree.
Even if the show was bad aesthetically,
it looks great. Yeah,
it's such a not unique in a single sense, because obviously it's taking bits and pieces from predominantly the 70s and 80s, but the things that obviously didn't exist. So you've got cassette type things, but they're not actually cassettes. And obviously the technology they've got is vastly superior, but they're still using
it's like Fallout. It's like
that's a perfect example of it.
It's like 50s tech, but it's advanced 100 years.
Yeah.
It still looks stupid and big and bulky, but it's incredibly powerful. It's more powerful than anything we've got at the moment. It's a robot that looks like a robot from the 50s, but it's far more advanced than any robot that exists currently.
It's Alpha 5 from Power Rangers.
Yeah, but it's an Ed 209.
My Morphin, by the way, not the movie. He looks like an alien. I've lost myself now. I've brought Power Rangers into it. But I like the aesthetic of it, and I like that it transports over if that makes sense. So like, even though she's gone into like the 1987 or wherever she is, the feel of the TVA is still there, just because of how it's filmed. So it's not jarring. Yeah. That I think with a lot of, they did it with WandaVision. They've ruined it a bit there, where there was a bit too much jumping about. And it just
it wasn't going backwards and forwards though. It's just going forwards.
No. But that's what I mean. Like when it was jumping from, where was it more noticeable? Probably like the third episode in or something. And you got used to it, but it just didn't feel the same like that. I don't want to say magical because that sounds stupid. I know what I mean, and I can't explain it.
Cool. Well, that's a good place as any to leave it then, I guess.
I'll cut all that last bit out. I'll just pick up somewhere so we can wrap it up there.
Right.
3, 2, 1. Anyway, Dan, out of 5 Lokis, what do you give this episode?
Purely because I've got nothing else to base it on, and it's Owen Wilson in a big suit and Tom Hiddleston spluttering everywhere. There's not really much to go on, but I'd give it a solid 3. Sure, it's a good continuation from the first season. I've got no. It's not like I watched this and gone, oh god, the wheels falling off a little bit, because it's it's that sort of like, oh shit, this is really popular and successful, now we need to throw another one out. Oh, we fucked it immediately. I'm not getting that kind of vibe from it. But it's still too early to be like, oh, this is the best season yet. Yeah. Way too early for that.
I get as an episode, I give it a 4. Same feelings. It was good. It wasn't bad. Doesn't give you any reason to say that this is going to be the best TV show in the world or the best Marvel show or whatever. But I think it's a really good start.
Yeah. And I'm keen to watch this week, sorry.
Well, that's the only reason it loses. It's not a 5. It wasn't long enough, and I needed it to be like a week long to last me to the next episode.
To this week, yeah.
Obviously, that's not the case. I'm only going to give it a 4. But no, again, first episode, new season, high expectations, and not really disappointed.
Good.
Can't ask for more than that. So, Dan, we're going to do this again on Friday.
Yes.
So we'll do episode 2, and then we'll be doing it every week until it's finished. And then whatever else starts, we'll pick up with that one. And if you want to see some more, it's all going along the bottom of the screen, podcastversusplayer.com. You can see more podcasts, let's plays, more spoilercasts like this, and reviews and loads of other things. And we're going to see you on the next one. See you later, Dan.
Bye.
Bye.